Right.
She wanted him out of the way.
Mm.
But also, I'll throw another wrench in the wheel. There's always suicide. Apparently,
What?
Ince was nearly bankrupt and was completely dependent upon Hearst for bailing him out.
Mm.
So perhaps he couldn't handle the stress and tried to do the deed and failed. So that would account for the bleeding from the head. I mean, you can shoot yourself in the head and still survive.
That surprises me. But also, so is there a question whether Hearst shot at Chaplin? Because the whole thing about the bullet was that it went through the wall. So you're saying, right. Is it an either or a both and? So William Randolph shot at Charlie Chaplin. We don't know where the bullet went. And tried to kill himself? No, it's not an and. The main theory that these are just all things we don't know,
right?
But okay,
the main theory was that WR did it. Okay. My theories are that either his
accidentally
wife contributed to his demise.
No, you mean
or it could have been a suicide if he was really bleeding from the head.
Sure.
To add to all this, when
again,
it's
just kind of piles.
I know we're just piling it on tonight. You thought we were clear of murder. You were like, I'm kind of done of murder, man.
Yeah, I did think so.
But when his will was filed in probate court the following year, his estate was worth $1,678,000.
This says Ents.
Yeah. So
but we thought he was bankrupt.
Yeah, that's
not bankrupt.
That's a hell of a lot of money. So as long
so he wasn't
off
bankrupt.
Bankruptcy.
So he didn't kill himself.
All of that money, of course, went to
her.
Yes. His
okay.
widow.
She did it.
So there could be that Hearst had bailed him out and cleared his debts.
Okay.
Or there could be something more nefarious, because I like to say the word nefarious. Something nefarious is afoot.
Nefarious.
Yeah. That is your SAT word of the week. So as the years went
along...
So
is caryatid. That's the architectural SAT word of the week.
I like that.
I love that. I love a good caryatid.
So as the years went along, Hearst continued to spend way too much money. In addition to building Hearst Castle, he also acquired St. Designates Castle in Wales.
Wow.
That was in 1925. So it was specifically for him and Marion, so they often entertained there. I should also note that he added 47 bathrooms to the castle.
Added?
Yes. I don't know how you find the room to put 47 bathrooms in a castle. I don't know. I guess there's lots of nooks and crannies in an old castle.
Sure.
Because it was an old castle. Also continued to collect art.
Well, and also, who needs 47 bathrooms?
Yeah. You literally could almost use one a week.
Right.
A different one for a year. Yeah, that's crazy. So... I guess he just had a lot of guests, though, or liked to change it up on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So, he also continued to collect art, most of which remain crated in warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
Note, I said warehouses with an S.
Yep.
In the 1930s, Hearst turned against the Democratic Party and did everything he could do to torpedo Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. He spent so much money on it that he began running out of money. And when it became clear that he needed to cut costs, he totally ignored the advice of his financial handlers.
Mm-hmm.
He eventually had to mortgage San Simeon to Harry Chandler, who was the owner of the LA Times.
Oh, gosh. What year was that?
This was in the 30s.
Oh, so it wasn't even
completed?
Done, and Julie is still working on it. I mean, I know they had financial
difficulties.
Issues.
Yeah, that would be it.
I didn't talk about it because it's so complicated. And
right.
Yeah.
So he tried to sell the castle in Wales, but couldn't. Finally, at his breaking point, he accepted a $1 to $2 million loan, depending on what source you consult, from Marion. She sold her jewelry, furs, investments, and even her own property.
She bailed him out.
Right, she did.
Well, that's funny because he was kind of the one that gave her the money to buy all that stuff, and so she's paying him back.
Yeah. Yes. But then he decided that taking money from his longtime mistress was kind of, a problem.
A little bit.
To him, at least. So he began auctioning off a lot of his art, antiques, and rare artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
As an interesting aside, John D. Rockefeller bought $1 million in antique silverware from WR.
Oh.
And this silverware went to his new museum located in a little place called Williamsburg, Virginia. Yeah.
Oh, it was about that time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So, in an attempt to cut costs, Hearst and Marion moved to his remote estate at Wintoun, which was located in the hills of Siskiyou.
Is Oregon?
California.
But it's
the northernmost county in California.
Okay.
Siskiyou.
Before you get to Oregon.
Siskiyou. Yeah, okay. So Wintoon was actually commissioned by Hearst's mother, Phoebe, and a portion of those buildings were designed by Julia Morgan as well as Bernard Maybeck and Willis Polk. So during World War II, Hearst papers were once again in the black as advertising skyrocketed, and following the war, the couple were able to return to San Simeon. Sadly, Hearst's health began to decline, and he was forced to relocate to Beverly Hills in 1947. He crashed at Marion's house, which, while not on the level of Hearst Castle, had 29 bedrooms, 3 swimming pools, a tennis court, and a cinema.
Not bad.
Yeah, but I guess that was a step down to them.
Surely a step down.
So that house is still there, and is the one that was listed for $11 million. Oh, I'm sorry, $100 million. Yeah, it's this kind of pink hacienda style house. Early ranch house. No. William died on August 14th, 1951, at the age of 81. I read in one account that knowing the end was near, Marion had to be sedated, and when she woke up, Hearst was dead, and his body had already been taken to the crematorium.
Oh my gosh.
His ashes were taken to San Francisco, where Millicent Hearst maintained a residence. Poor Marion wasn't among the nearly 1,000 mourners to his funeral. But she got the last laugh because in Hearst's will, Marion Davies inherited 170,000 shares in the Hearst Corporation.
Wow.
Which comprised most of his newspaper empire.
Yeah.
Combined with the 30,000 shares that he had given her in
Wait, why didn't she go to the thing?
They said she wasn't invited to the funeral.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. I would have been like...
I would have shown...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
So, combined with the 30,000 shares that William gave her in 1950, she now had controlling interest in the Hearst Corporation. She eventually relinquished all of the shares in exchange for an advisory role in the company. I'm assuming that they substantially...
I thought she had to trade it for that?
Yeah, I'm assuming that she got paid for them as well. I mean, that doesn't make any sense that she'd be just like, oh, I'll give you all my shares and just be an advisor. No. I could find no record of whether or not Millicent Hearst, who was still legally W.R.'s wife, if she received anything in his will. I'm sure she did, because she continued to hobnob with the likes of Eleanor Roosevelt and several other key philanthropists in New York. She would die nearly 2 decades later in 1974.
Wow.
All 5 of her sons followed in their father's footsteps. None of them graduated from college.
Oh my gosh.
All of them had successful careers in media.
Oh my gosh. They also hopeless spendthrifts.
Yeah. William Randolph Hearst Jr. eventually won the Pulitzer Prize, which ironically was named after her senior's long-term rival, Joseph Pulitzer. As for Marion, she married 11 days after Hearst's death to a man named Horace Brown.
Oh my gosh.
I saw 11 days and I also saw 3 or 4 months.
Regardless.
Yeah. He was a friend to them both and he'd been around for a while. So, she didn't wait very long. It was an unhappy marriage and she filed for divorce twice, but never finalized it. She lived another decade and actually did a great deal of philanthropy on her own. She established a children's clinic at UCLA and a foundation to fight childhood diseases. Her health declined in the last few years of her life, and she eventually succumbed to stomach cancer on September 22nd, 1961, at the age of 64. She left behind a fortune of $20 million.
Oh my gosh.
So as for William and Marion's supposed love child, Patricia Lake...
Yeah.
When she died in 1993, her obituary formally claimed that she was, quote, the only daughter of William Randolph Hearst and Marion Davies.
Oh my gosh.
As related by her son, Patricia claimed that Marion told her the truth when she was 11, and when she was married at San Simeon in 1937, William confirmed that he was her father. Both Marion and William gave her away at the ceremony. Upon hearing of this news, a spokesperson for Hearst Castle said, quote, it's a very old rumor and a rumor is all it's ever been. As I mentioned at the beginning, William Randolph Hearst has a somewhat maligned reputation. This is largely to do with the movie Citizen Kane, which was directed by Orson Welles, that hottie. Orson Welles. I have a huge crush on Orson Welles. I think it has to do with the fact that he played Mr. Rochester in like the 1940s version of Jane Eyre. He was so hot. Yep. Oh, goodness. Anyway, so the main character of Citizen Kane, Charles Foster Kane, was based on Hearst. So Kane even had a girlfriend on the side who was an actress and who by all accounts was a horrible human being. So poor Marion kind of got a maligned reputation from that, even though people in the know say that it was actually the movie's producers. He actually modeled that character on his ex-wife.
Oh.
But many believed it was really Davies.
Marion? At
the time of its release, it actually was released before William died. So
yes.
He worked with Louis B. Mayer to try to sync the film, but they were both unsuccessful. The movie has since become a classic.
Yep.
Some say it's probably one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah.
So I believe that much of Hearst's reputation was kind of unfairly maligned by this movie. But then again, maybe not. It's all up to how you interpret things, I guess.
It is.
So I didn't even get into or look into the whole, it was his granddaughter, Patty Hearst, who got into that. Was it Libyan terrorist or something? Or she got herself abducted and...
Oh, yeah. I really don't know the story.
I'll have to look it up. She's still alive.
That's his granddaughter or great-granddaughter?
Her granddaughter. She was born 3 years after he died. Became internationally known for events following her 1974 kidnapping and physical violation by a domestic American terrorist group known as the Symbionese Liberation Army.
Oh.
She was found 19 months after being abducted, at which time she was a fugitive wanted for serious crimes. So she robbed banks and stuff for them.
Patty Hearst did?
Yeah.
This is all kind of coming back to me now, to be honest. I know it's a very strange story.
Yeah, she was found guilty of bank robbery, and Jimmy Carter, who was president at the time, commuted her sentence.
Pardoned. Okay.
Bill Clinton pardoned her.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking. So yeah, 1974, she was recorded on surveillance video wielding an M4.
So
M1.
she did do it, but was made to do it?
Yeah, she said that she was made to do it. She was
kidnapped and then they told her to... Okay.
Yeah, and then they said there was... What's the thing when you kind of fall under sway of captors?
Something
Not
syndrome.
Munchausen's.
Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was kind of thrown around. It was a lot of craziness, but yeah, who was her father? Randolph Apperson Hearst. So
what number was that?
He was one of the twins. So yeah, definitely interesting. I could have gone on for a long, long time too, but we won't. So that is the story of William Randolph Hearst and Hearst Castle. And
I like the pools.
You like the pools. I like Marion Davies. I think she's awesome. I mean, she's officially invented a new drink for us. Behind the barn.
Behind the barn. I still like side hustle. That sounds more like a drink.
Yeah, that was last week's drink, though.
I'll have it behind the barn. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
This is this week's drink.
So, as always, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Scandal Sheets Pod. We post our references usually on our website, scandalsheetspod.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a favorable review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Spotify officially.
Yep.
And yeah, send us emails if you have any stories you would like covered. We're always looking for good leads on those sorts of things. We are scandalsheetspod@gmail.com.
And for sure, check out this Julia Morgan architect book because it's amazing.
Right.
And I almost feel like we should have done Wintune instead of the Hearst Castle because people are more familiar with the Hearst Castle. Although it's very fun to talk about. I had never heard of or seen with the
It's pretty
Wintune.
crazy. It's got all these storybook. It looks like fairy tales painted on the walls.
It does. And the main castle, unfortunately, was destroyed by fire in 1930, but there's still other sort of outbuildings. And it's really, really beautiful. These little, kind of German looking, or I guess something you'd see in the Alps or whatever. Bavarian
something
Alps.
Hansel and Gretel for some reason.
Very much so. Fairy tale. Yep. Very impressive. Good job, Julia.
Yeah. Good job, Julia. So, as always, join us next week for another salacious tale in history. And so...
Pools. We might not have pools next week, though.
Yeah.
Is there a spoiler? Do we get to talk about what we're going to talk about next week?
Are we doing a theater?
Yeah.
We are doing a theater.
So that's what you get to know.
Yeah.
We know, so it's not a pool.
This theater has connections with one of the people that we talked about today.
I like that we always seem to have a connection somehow.
We do sometimes, yeah. Well, ta-ta for now.
Good night.